we're really excited about. Hold on a second here. I keep getting these pop-ups. One of the things that we're really excited about with regard to grants is we're working with ARDC in California. ARDC has granted ARRL $500,000 to create a club grants program. That club grants program is going to allow us to review applications from clubs across the country, whether you're an ARRL affiliated club or not, to fund projects of up to $25,000 that will help your club. We're in the process, and actually Fred Kemmerer is going to be leading the creation of the criteria by which grants are going to be evaluated through a matrix. You're going to be able to, if you're a small club, get the funding that you need to either help you grow or to keep you vital. If you're at a larger club, there may be a larger project, something related to education or STEM, or maybe it's a way to expand a repeater into digital, or maybe set up some local Arden networking for members to get into. There's a lot of these projects that the larger clubs may want to get engaged with. And then you've got new clubs. You've got clubs that haven't been around very long, and they just have some basic infrastructure needs that they need in order to continue operating and growing. So we're really excited about working with ARDC on that, and that's through the ARRL Foundation. Now, the ARRL Foundation has always had a grants program, but there hasn't been a lot of money available. So the number of grant applications that we get year in and year out are actually pretty modest. By having this large grant program, again, being able to fund projects up to $25,000 it's transformational. So we're really excited to be doing that. One of the changes that you'll note to our website soon is we're launching Personify. Personify is a association management package. The software ARRL has been using to run that was installed a couple decades ago or more, and it's beyond not being supported. It has been a liability. So the team has been working with a whole new way of working. This is not software that runs on a local computer. It runs in the cloud. It's created us some pretty interesting challenges and challenges for Personify about how to link their cloud platform into our financials, the way that store transactions migrate through the building, how we integrate things like the Learning Center through single sign-on. There's been a lot of challenges for us and Personify to make all of that work. So we're at the finish line. I would say we're relieved to get it off our plate. It's been a monkey on our back for a long time, but we wanted to make sure that when it launches with the highest possibility of success, not just launching it fast and then trying to figure out how to fix all the problems. There may be problems, there may be hiccups, but we'll see how that goes. We've continued to work on something I talked about last year called Project X. It's one of the big conspiracies, apparently. It has to do with what I was talking about earlier in terms of radio sport and changing the way that we look at activities and contesting. And it also has to do with replacing LOTW with a platform that's more scalable, so that we can do things like add more awards to it. The existing LOTW platform was architected and written 2 decades ago. People talk about fixing LOTW. There's no fixing LOTW. There's just rewriting LOTW, or rewriting parts of it and trying to jam it in and make it work. And we're not doing that. The real value out of Project X is changing the way that we look at logging data. And LOTW, you make a lot of contacts, or you make a few contacts, whatever you want, and then you upload them to LOTW to see whether or not you got a confirmation or not. Where we want to go is we want to get value from live streaming of log entries into LOTW in real time, so that we can do things like the contest gaming I talked about before. So it's not necessarily contests within contests. It's more like gaming for the sake of having fun that's just sidecarred to a contest. And there's other possibilities. Things like if you're chasing an award, say you're chasing DXCC and you need a new country, LOTW or Project X will know what country you need. And when it sees that there are people that are working that country on the air and logging it, Project X can reach out to you and tell you, hey, that country that you're looking for is on the air, it's on this frequency, and the following 5 countries or a couple of areas have worked that person. And you can decide whether or not you need to jump on and try to get that new country. So it brings a little bit more excitement into chasing DX. One of the things that came up at the July board meeting that was presented in the January CEO report is that, sort of year in and year out, you get reports that estates were badly handled. You can see on Facebook where a grandson or a granddaughter gets on Facebook and says, I've got my grandfather's station here. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what anything is worth. What do you guys recommend I do? And then there's 100 or 150 messages saying, this is what the equipment is, and this is what I'll give you for it. Or talk to a local club, or find somebody in the neighborhood who's a ham. They get all of this advice. So one of the things that we talked about at the board was trying to create an estate planning guide for hams. Take a workbook approach where you don't have to worry about your station. You just write down what you have, and give advice to whoever is going to be handling your estate to say, this is what I want to have happen. And the workbook's not for you. It's for the people who are left behind trying to deal with that. I've personally handled the estates of 2 friends that passed, and it is important for the family to know that there's a trusted person they can rely on to take care of the station. So in any event, that workbook has been written. We're just now doing the design of the workbook to get it printed, and we want to be able to make that available on our website and also offer it for free if someone wants a printed copy, so that they can fill it out. And finally, one of the other things I would just mention is I had high hopes a year ago to have gotten into the 5-year strategic plan. It was very difficult with everything going on to find the time to do that project correctly. Also, having now been in the job for a year, I have a very different perspective on sort of where ARRL needs to be focused in the next 5 years. There are some very obvious things that we need to do, not the least of which is to build a proper website. The website we have is more than a decade old. It's functional but clunky. It's showing signs of its age and its usability. And we know because we get telephone calls from members asking things about the website. So there's these big sort of transactional things like the strategic plan we need to do and working on Project X. But we really need to start to think about other aspects of the hobby and of ARRL and where we're going to go over the next 5 years to get there. So let me just end my chat, and then we can do a little bit of Q&A. Let me just leave you with this one thought. This is something I'm going to ask of you as leaders in the hobby. It's what I ask of new directors and vice directors. You can ask the camera. We can disagree on things. It's healthy to debate ideas when done the right way. You know, at headquarters, we look through the lens every single day. Is this good for ARRL, and is this good for ham radio? Now, I'll tell you, it's hard. I know personally, there are things that I have not necessarily agreed with, but the ideas that came out through collaboration and the direction that we took was better. And you know, it's hard. You have to put your own opinions or ideas or initiatives aside to do what's right for the hobby. But when we get there, whatever the outcome is, we really need to hold hands and make things happen for our members and our hobby. So it's the one takeaway that I would hope that you would walk away with today, which is you sometimes need to be willing to sacrifice your personal and political thoughts by putting ham radio and ARRL first and at the forefront. But in any event, that's what I have for you this morning. So I would be happy to take some questions.
Okay, thanks so much, Dave. That's awesome. So folks online, if you want to, on the bottom right-hand side, you see the reactions button. If you go in there, you can raise your hand and I'll know to call on you, or then I can tell you to unmute your mic. If you don't want to do that, you can send one in the chat and I'll repeat that question. Anybody in the room have a question? Okay.
Yeah, well, I'd like to ask what kind of modes or ways of using amateur radio are you most excited about for the future? I mean, I think the last big thing that really made a difference was FTA that, got a lot of people really, motivated. Where do you think we'll be over time?
So it's really interesting. We had N1MM. Who's written arguably the best contesting program ever at headquarters for a day. And we were talking about this, and he's got very strong ideas about ways that FT8 could be changed to be far more effective for contesting. But for me personally, the thing that excites me that I don't think that we've done nearly enough as a community, and to a certain extent, this part of the hobby is in a state of turmoil, is the work that we do with satellites. I'm a passionate satellite operator. I can't tell you how excited I was when AO40 launched, more than 2 decades ago. I was absolutely heartbroken when there was a massive failure on board the satellite. So AO40 wound up dying in space. And I think the aspiration of a lot of potential satellite operators died with it. What's happened since is we've gotten very, very good at launching low Earth orbiting satellites that operate on FM. Everybody gets excited because there's a new satellite in the air. And to me personally, it has done nothing to move satellites forward. Now you look at what's happened in Europe. They have QO100, which is a geostationary satellite that's up in space, and people are able to make adjustments and experiment with their radios, with their antennas, with their feed systems. They're able to go portable to interesting places and experiment with ways to get on board the satellite. I would love to see an initiative that starts in the United States with us creating either a high Earth orbiting satellite or a geostationary satellite using frequencies on up into the gigahertz, and to get activity growing in the satellite space. It's a lot less intimidating. It's a lot easier to do than it was, say, I don't know, 40 or 50 years ago. But in the past, when I was an ARRL and AMSAT member and got online and sort of pushed for high Earth orbiting satellites, KB1BP, please mute your mic.
Yeah, we got to mute all mics, please.
So, so in any event, the response was not good. People viewed it as being outspoken and rogue and unrealistic and all the rest of it. But, so where are we today? We're a couple of decades past the unfortunate loss of AO40. And, I'm just not seeing the kind of initiative that's required. Are there obstacles? Yes. Is the biggest obstacle financial? No question. But rather than just say that we have a big financial problem, we should be looking at big financial solutions. By the way, I found this interesting. Hams think they need to do everything by themselves and not necessarily get creative around funding. We're trying to change that. But do you know last year in the United States that a new billionaire was minted every 17 minutes?
That's crazy.
Forbes magazine has a list. I mean, if you were a billionaire 20, 30 years ago, it really meant something. But Kim Kardashian and her sister are both billionaires. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? So anyway, there's a tremendous amount of money in the world to solve problems. We just need to be smart and aggressive about the way that we look at funding those problems or those initiatives and get after it.
Yeah, get to market it right. I do want to give, thanks, Jeff. I do want to give Tony a chance to.
Patient there, raising your hand, Tony, if you don't mind. You can ask.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, David, a couple of really good things I'd like to thank you for, and the addition of the YouTube videos, moving the things from the webinars out onto YouTube, I think is a really good idea. It makes them a lot more available. I think Steve Good Game is doing a very good job getting everything out there. I was one of the writers for one of the modules in the Learning Center, so shameless plug to take the contesting class. One thing I think that'd be helpful, well, two things as far as field day goes. I think it'd be a good idea to rewrite the rules a little bit to encourage use of multiple bands, additional modes and things. And I think that's one thing that really would be helpful as far as bonuses go. We've added the capability for people to do things at home, but we really haven't stretched them to try new things out. So I think that'd be very important to add some sort of multipliers to field day to encourage multipliers and or bonuses to encourage multiple band operation and to work more sections during field day.
That sounds great. Did you have a second one?
Yes, the online contesting I think is a great way to go, and everyone should start out by at least utilizing the online contesting boards that are there now for real term score reporting.
Yeah, it's going to be a culture change. I operate from a station down in the Caribbean a couple times a year, although it's been more than a couple years since I've been able to go down, and I was hoping to get down in the next couple weeks for ARRL-DX sideband. But at our station on Bonaire, where in whatever category we wind up competing in, we either win it or we come in second or third place, but we're always right at the top there. We've never used the online reporting board because the internet connection down there has been terrible. And when you take a look at from I'll call it a selfish station perspective, you want to make sure that the data that's coming across your internet connection is what you need for the contest, not necessarily for reporting it so that other people can, just sort of, it doesn't really serve a purpose yet other than, to report what's going on. So there's definitely going to be some challenges, but again, it's really changing the paradigm of old-fashioned contesting and finding out ways to engage younger people so that they can, rather than contest the weekend, they can game the contest. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I've got to cut you off there, though. Unfortunately, it's an excellent subject. I like to contest myself, and that online scoreboard is very motivating. And the kids, I'll say the kids, and I'm 60, so the kids love it, right? The remote contesting and that young group that has like 10 of them together that gang up at a multi-op all together from across the U.S. It's fantastic. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you showing up so early in the morning, and thanks a lot. God bless. So
okay.
Take it easy.
Thanks, everybody.
Clap. I don't know if they're clapping their own room.